Today we're going to be talking about the assault class. All I hear is that assault is useless, assault is terrible, there's no reason to play assault in Battlefield 6. Funny enough, there actually is a pretty solid reason to play assault, and assault's way more useful than you guys actually think. But before I start talking about that, I want to give a little rundown for people that might not understand what the assault class actually is used for and is supposed to be used for in Battlefield 6. Assault is one of those weird ones that has multiple ways to be used. It's not like the engineer class where there's like one specific way to play engineer. It's not like support where you have to play as a medic, essentially, as like a standstill suppressing fire unit that has a healing ammo bag in order to keep your teammates alive, use defibs to keep you alive, you know, smoke things out. Like, there is one way essentially to play support in this game. It's all catered around the medic bag and smoke grenades for the most part, and obviously the defibs and everything like that. When it comes to engineer, it's throw down your mines, blow up helicopters, blow up tanks, you know, flank to get into better positions to throw down more mines to keep those tanks away from your team and just other vehicles in general. And then obviously you move on to recon, and recon is recon. You snipe, you do your thing as a recon. Recons do whatever they want. Essentially, those are the other roles in the game, and assault is one of the roles in Battlefield 6 that has multiple roles inside of it. So 1, there's the flanker. 2, there's the front line. And 3, there's like the demolitionist, I guess you could say. There's a couple of different reasons why I'm giving it 3 different classes, and we're going to go over each one for assault today and kind of give you guys a rundown on how they're played so that you can either better understand it or realize that, hey, maybe assault actually isn't useless and there's a bunch of different ways to actually go around and play it. To me, it's the main reason why I started playing more assault, because it fits a very niche category for me, which is like lurking in this game. So we're gonna go over the flanking one first. If you know the term lurking, it essentially is flanking but an attack shooter, especially Counter-Strike. It resonates very well with me, and it's a very nice way of playing because 1, it helps you get in behind the enemy team, and it gives you a bunch of information like who's on what side of the map, how heavy are they on each side of the map, what's going on, do I need to be more careful, how can I play around this? And when it comes to Battlefield, it mainly is where do I need to place my spawn beacon? That's the main thing with assault when you are flanking. As the flanker, there's not many of you in a game. The goal for me is to try to find a spot behind the enemy team in an awkward way to where I can put down a spawn beacon so that they have no idea where I'm going, which is one of the more commonly used ways of playing assault. At least to me, it's one of the more commonly ways to play assault. A handful of times I run into a game and I notice that there's always guys spawning behind me and I'm like, how is this happening? And then obviously we go and we look for the spawn beacon, and that is one of the ways. But a way to do this very effectively is to make sure you're finding awkward positions to put down these spawn beacons so the enemies have no idea where you're coming from. And each time you spawn in, you can always change it up so that your spawn beacon either isn't in the same position, or if you need to put it in the same position, it's better hidden so that you understand, or so that they can't really find it. And that's like one of the main things that I always try to focus on as an assault player to play assault better. It necessarily isn't run in head first and capture the point. It's make sure you are having the enemy guess where you're coming from to pull them away from the front line so that you could start capturing more points. This is something that's well used in game modes like Breakthrough and Rush to better get behind the enemies and to create those flanking routes. Even though some maps don't have them, you can still theoretically flank. It's not necessarily super effective on some of the smaller maps, but even on Empire State, when you think there's no room to flank, there's a lot of room to flank. And people really don't put 2 and 2 together. I'm sure after this video goes up, a lot of people are going to start putting 2 and 2 together when people are spawning in behind them and they go, whoa, what the fuck is happening? It's probably going to be one of those things where everyone starts to realize what's going on. This is the more fun way of playing assault. It allows you to sort of get a lot of kills and make sure you're known on the map so that the other team is kind of in your face all of the time. A good player can handle it, and a newer player won't really be able to handle this type of game style. So it's always good to have a good squad with you, and the F word's gonna come out, but friends always help if you got any of those, which I don't, but that always helps in a situation like this because if you have a full squad that is willing to spawn on top of your beacon, the flanks just get better and better and better, and it makes it so much easier to capture points. Now moving on to the second way to play assault. In the gameplay, you're only going to see me play the one way, which is flanking, because it's my personal favorite. But we're going to go over how to play the front line. And frontline assault's pretty simple. I'm just going to glance over this. You're the guy that just runs head first over and over and over again with the rest of the groups. So you're running in with the engineers, the supports, and for some reason, some of the recons that decided to spawn in on this map. Which I know it's actually pretty viable to play recon with a carbine or a DMR. On the smaller maps, it's kind of weird. Anyways, you're the guy that's going head first. You're first up in line. You're sprinting in. You're throwing either flashbangs or regular frag grenades. But usually it's like flashbangs or the concussion grenades or whatever they have in the game. Usually that's what you want to lead with, especially if you have a recon painting everyone, because then you have a pretty easy time figuring out what's going on. So you're going to lead with that. You're going to run into your first objective and you're going to try your best to clear it out with everybody. Usually the frontline guys are the guys that run in by themselves and they try to find like a side way in. So instead of actually running straight in for the most part, depending on the map, they'll run into the side. And usually they get like 1 or 2 kills and then they die and then they spawn in on their teammate and they do it again. That's like the normal way to play assault. That makes assault practically useless unless they're utilizing their utility to help the team get in. That's the hard part, right? That's the one thing that I'd say roughly 90% of assault players do. That's the thing that they do. They sprint in, they throw their shit, they get out. Maybe they put down their beacon right in front of the enemy and the enemy destroys it, but usually they're just sprinting right in and dying. A thing I failed to mention is I'm going to be talking about attacking and defending. So attacking, this is all attacking currently. All the information you guys are listening to is about attacking. The average way to play assault is that. Basically, boom, done. Is it the wrong way? No, absolutely not. It's not as effective as flanking and sort of building up your position and your team's position to better take the point in these game modes. This obviously even works in Conquest or Escalation, right? Flanking is just key when it comes to winning in a tactical game. Like, for instance, on Morocco Valley, everybody knows to take 1 point and push up past that point and sort of turn into an L and capture either A or B from the side with the team that is just full force pushing forward. Usually the people leading that charge are the assault players, but depending on what kind of person you have on your team, they're either scared shitless and hiding behind cover like it's a real war going on, or they have no idea how to move forward because their controller just disconnected. That's usually how it goes. Moving on to the less functional assault player and the more interesting way of playing assault. So as an assault player, you can have 2 gadgets, or you can have a sling. A lot of people opt into using 2 gadgets over the sling, like the HE grenade launcher that they have and the redeploy beacon. That's usually the go-to class for assault. That's what I've been using. There's a breaching charge thing, the assault ladder, X95 breaching charge. It basically goes, you shoot it at a wall and it stuns the enemies behind the wall. It can be useful, but everyone would rather just blow up the wall and shoot the guys in the face, right? So it stuns, it flashes, does its thing behind the wall. Then you come to the M32 HE launcher that destroys buildings, which is super effective. And then you also have the thermal launcher, which is absolutely terrible in this game and basically doesn't kill anyone. Then you have a redeploy beacon. And then on top of that, you have the incendiary round shotgun that also basically does no damage. There's a lot of different ways to play assault here, but most of them don't really work in this game. And a lot of people don't effectively use the equipment, which I totally understand, and I get that. It's pretty hard to understand the equipment in this game and to really make it good when DICE themselves don't even know how to balance it. So taking that into account, the strongest equipment you can use on assault is going to be your redeploy beacon and your HE launcher. The latter comes into play as well for flanking, but not as much as wanting to bring your teammates along with you, making it way better in real game experience to actually end up winning these fights and just winning the game outright in general, because the more people you have flanking with you, the better the game gets. Now, you could put on the ladder over the HE launcher, but always having the ability to snipe people out of their camping locations with it by destroying the building, the rubble, making it fall on them and kill them, or destroy their equipment so no one can spawn on them again, is way more effective in my head than actually climbing up and being virtually useless on top of a building, just looking down, getting a handful of kills, and allowing the game to eventually just end. Like, New Sobek City is a big way to understand where I'm coming from. On New Sobek City, there are so many people sitting on top of the roofs on attack that at the end of the day, those games virtually end in one way. The defending team will always win. It does not matter. Somehow the defending team will always win. I know that they changed the locations of the points. I just haven't played it. I don't know what happens on that map anymore. I kind of just turned it off because it's a little frustrating that everyone just climbs up on top of the buildings and looks down at the point. But that is a way that the ladder is used, and it's not that effective, which is why I'm making it a key point for the deploy beacon to be used so much more and used in a way that can win games. Now, obviously, this really plays into the friendlies on your team actually helping you and spawning on you and flanking too. But 9 times out of 10, I've had random teammates spawn on my beacon because they've noticed it and they're like, oh shit, this is a really good idea. So I think the more that you do it, the more teammates will end up spawning on you. It's just a matter of time before that starts to actually happen. And the more people that use it, the more teammates will realize it. Like, the redeploy beacon is that broken. I don't recommend playing any other way, but I said I was going to talk about the demolitionist, essentially the guy that blows everything up. He's basically your less effective engineer, because all he can do is take down buildings for you and breach rooms. That guy is basically gung-ho with his HE launcher and his flame shotgun. A big thing that the demolitionist assault variation does is they are running in head first, and this kind of plays into Siege of Cairo a lot. With a lot of those buildings and a lot of people hiding, they're blowing up those window areas and making sure that there's nobody in there. And then a big thing that they can also do is run in with that shotgun and sort of just start spraying into the stairways to keep them from running out and sort of keep them upstairs. It's more of like a crowd control situation, right? They can pick a lane and blow everything up in their path, and then on top of that, use the flame shotgun as crowd control to keep the enemies in specific positions so that they can't really move around, and they kind of end up clumping up and funneling out of a specific location so that everyone can end up getting the kills. Again, not as effective as the flanking routes, the redeploy beacons, and some of the other things that better assault players will do. I'm just giving you guys options at the end of the day to vary how assault plays and to show you guys that there's more than just a useless category on our hands. Like, the class was not well thought out, because obviously you can see that some things need to be balanced better, like everything that does almost no damage. But it was given the tools to be multiple roles inside of one, and it's just called assault because assault rifles are, you know, some of the most used weapons in games. One thing that assault does bad is have a really bad class active ability, which is rally squad. It's virtually useless. You and nearby squad members gain a temporary adrenaline effect. Its effects on you can be extended with kills. The adrenaline thing in this game, it's really not the move. They have the worst class ability out of every class in the game. It's really bad. That's on breacher and frontline. There's no saving that. I barely use it. I really don't use it. I don't like it. Anything that has to do with adrenaline, I don't use. So I play on breacher personally because I like having 2 grenades. I like having reduced movement speed penalties while firing and moving, and I like to reload my grenade launcher a little faster. So if you're someone that likes to be like more of a demolitionist, this breacher one is going to be highly sought after for you. Frontliner's not bad because you take less fall damage. Your teammates get that adrenaline boost when they spawn on your beacon, so it's better for flanking. And then obviously you have passive health regeneration, and it triggers 50% faster and provides 50% improvement on healing. So you're gonna heal 50% faster, but then you still get that shitty class ability that does absolutely nothing, in my opinion. For me, breacher is so strong, even if you're going to be the flanking player, because you get the 2 grenades and you still have the HE launcher. and it's still effective even while flanking. Because you run out of ammo, guess what? You're gonna pull that thing out and you're gonna shoot someone in the face with it, and it's fire. It's a lot of fun. But for me personally, yeah, I just believe that these are some really good ways to play assault and some ways to think about assault. Obviously, there's some things that you can go a little more in depth with, but I don't necessarily understand it on that high of a level. I just understand that there are multiple ways to play this position, and it's definitely not as useless as you guys think. Empire State is one of those really good maps for flanking. A big reason why I played this map in this video was because I'm subtly highlighting where to place your beacons, but be creative with where you put them. Because if you guys just place the beacons where I'm placing them in this video, then everyone's going to know the points to look at for the beacon, right? To understand and get better at it, use the beacons that you've been seeing me place in this video, because they're never destroyed. They were never destroyed on this map specifically. If you guys want to run down on how to flank and be more effective as an assault player in the flanking area, I can 100% make a video on that and show you guys where the best positions are on every single map to do that. Because even in this video, or on screen during the attack phase on Empire State, I didn't necessarily play the objective that much, and we ended up winning the game just from pressure from behind. And it wasn't all me. I had another group flanking with me, and I had my own teammates spawning on my beacon flanking as well. So that always helps. But to create that pressure and to pull people away from the front of the point while you're killing new players spawning in to get to the point, there's going to be way less people on that objective taking up space, which is effectively going to win you way more games. That's why I think it's such a strong way to play assault. And then obviously we get to the defensive side of things. And on defense, there's basically only one way to play assault. You can't really get out there and play multiple ways, unfortunately. Defense is sort of when assault isn't as strong, but you kind of want to play aggressively. You want that beacon, you want to put a spawn beacon down somewhere safe so that your teammates can spawn close to the point after they die, so that you're constantly putting pressure on the location that you need to, on the objective, so that they can't easily take it. Believe it or not, people die a lot on defense, and nobody waits to get rezzed. Like 9 times out of 10, my experience on defense has been spawn in, sometimes immediately die, other times obviously don't just die immediately, but you know, spawn in, die, and then hold space, because either the medic's not coming or everyone else is doing that too, and it's just better to get on the point faster and make sure that you're back in position. So something that I do is I always put a beacon off to the side somewhere so that my teammates can spawn on it and continue to spawn on it to create pressure. And the more of my squad members that are on the point, the better, especially when they're all medics, because they're going to keep more people alive. So for me, I like to keep my spawn beacon close to the point, if not on the point. But I know, especially on Blackwell, you can put it on the left side of the map in the like where the little garages that you can destroy, or on the left side of the map where there's like this tiny little walkway that's hidden from the rest of the map, just like that one teammate is in there. And that can set up a quote-unquote flank route even on defense, because you could look at everyone up on the hill. Is it as useful as getting your team to spawn in front of or on the point? No, because your job as a defender is to make sure you either A, have enough people on the point to keep everyone, you know, to keep them from capping it, or B, be in front of them so that they can't even think about getting on it. Make sure they're in their spawn, you know, make sure they're absolutely useless, not able to do anything. Like, those are a bunch of things that you need to do as a defender, you know, to win. Defending is actually pretty difficult in this game unless you're playing against a bunch of, you know, no-thumbed weirdos or no-hand weirdos that just can't play the game. Because fighting in numbers is always better than just, you know, fighting against one good player. Like, you know, I could fight them by myself and I would lose the point in 5 seconds. But together, you don't lose the point. And that's why it is very important to use your spawn beacon as an assault player, and also make sure that you're not playing in a ridiculous way that forces the team to hopefully not have to play around you. That's the other thing. You have to think about where you're placing these things. Think, how easy is it for the enemy to kill you? And always think, am I putting it in the right position? because I don't want my teammates to spawn in and immediately be able to get shot at, right? The goal is to place the spawn beacon as close to the enemy spawn as possible, but out of view to where they can't even think about it being there. And then obviously when your teammates spawn in, just make sure that they can't be seen. That's also the other best thing you can do, because if they are seen, then that spawn beacon is essentially useless, and now everyone's dead and you have to start from square one again and try to find a better position for it. That's a pretty hard thing to understand, and why I think people immediately assume that assault is useless. They either think assault is useless or it's the easiest to use in the game because it is just point, shoot, and play the game. And that's where I feel like they misunderstand it. Assault is definitely not your point, shoot, and mindlessly play the game, at least for me, because to be an effective and useful player, it really is all about your redeploy beacon. And I'm kind of glad that they took the redeploy beacon from recon and put it on assault because of that. I am disappointed that assault isn't the medic anymore, but they did make assault useful enough to be its own class in the game still by doing that. And it generates a bunch of different ways to play assault, like I talked about in today's video. I think everyone needs to just open up about that and kind of, you know, give it a shot, play the game in a different way. I know there are people that understand that that's what assault is, and I see it every game. At least one guy every game is flanking and putting down a beacon. I would love to see more assault players trying to do that, because just imagine how effective it would be if there were 5 to 10 assault players actively trying to push behind the enemy team and flank. That gives the rest of the team that doesn't even want to move a chance to just push the point forward and say capture A while the assaults are pushing for B and trying to get behind the enemy team. It just generates a more fluid gameplay experience, because now you have two different sets of players trying to fight the enemy team, splitting up the enemy team, and then on top of that, a few assault players are going to break through and throw down their beacons, which will further split the enemy team up, because now they spawn into 3 different subgroups, which is, okay, I need to defend B, I need to defend A, and then you have a small group searching for all of the redeploy beacons, making it easier to cap the point against group A. And then once you have group A done, you could put more beacons down on the A side, essentially making it so that they have to become another subgroup and search for those beacons on top of that, which you guys understand. I know you guys know this. I don't sound crazy saying this, but I know you know that there are those people in the game that will always search for the spawn beacons. You will always see a teammate in your spawn searching for that beacon, making sure that it does not stay. There's always somebody, especially when they realize that there's somebody there. So this is good practice, and I totally recommend playing like this. On defense, it's a lot harder, but it's very simple. The beacon goes down for your teammates to spawn on. The beacon isn't necessarily the key point of defense. It's used pretty well there. Defending is that it's that hard thing to find the sweet spot, but you can still be effective in where you place your beacon. There's obviously ways to place it sideways, like on the sides of the map where the enemy isn't looking, but it's not that effective. Assault really isn't that useful on defense, so I wouldn't get like I'm not going to get too in depth with it. I don't think it's that important. It mainly is attacking, and I think I gave you guys some good key points to think about, some things to talk about. So if there are any questions or there is anything that you want to add to this that I might have missed, you're more than welcome to say it in the comments below. I definitely think this is food for thought, because a lot of people don't play assault like this, and I definitely think that if more people did play assault like this, a lot of the harder maps for breakthrough won't be so hard, because you'll end up generating a 3rd position to take the point from instead of 2, which is, you know, straight in front from the left or from the right. And then obviously now you have a way to get in from behind, which you guys saw almost a very borderline perfect way of utilizing the beacon to play like that, or on the Empire State map. If you guys like dissect that gameplay and kind of use that in other maps, that is a pretty good way of playing the game, and I definitely recommend it. I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope this was helpful in any way. I hope it changes your opinion on assault, because I enjoy playing assault. I know there's a lot of people out there that actually enjoy playing assault. There are a lot of people out there that are playing it wrong and giving it a bad name, because I know assault gets shit on, and it has been since launch of Battlefield 6. And if you play it right, it's more useful than recon on 90% of the maps, because those guys just stand there and do fuck all, and we all know it, but nobody's saying it. that's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for 26,000 subscribers, and thank you guys for all the support on the tier list video. It was a lot of fun making that. It was pretty stressful, but it was fun. So yeah, thank you guys so much for everything, and hopefully this helps. And if you guys want more videos on each class or a more in-depth video on assault, I'm there for it. Just let me know in the comments. And yeah, goodbye.